Now we need to apply it, and we need to encourage our listeners to leave a review. Tell them why, tell them what, and tell them how. Welcome to Podcast Coaching for Kingdom Entrepreneurs. I'm Kristin Fields-Chadwick, your podcast coach on this transformative podcasting journey. Our mission: empower Kingdom entrepreneurs to confidently launch and grow podcasts, fostering a journey of being seen, being heard, being known, and making a lasting kingdom impact. This is Podcast Coaching for Kingdom Entrepreneurs. Your voice matters. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Podcast Coaching for Kingdom Entrepreneurs. Woo-wee. This is going to be another episode that is going to be helpful and based off of a question that I get a lot, which is all about reviews and ratings. And you know what? Podcast ratings and reviews, they're not going to help you hit the charts directly, but it can help you do this. But first, since we're talking about podcast reviews, I want to just invite you into the latest one that I just received. So hint, hint, if you're listening to the show and you want to be heard on the show and a shout out to you, hint, hint to podcasters, this is a place where you can promote your show. Go ahead and leave me a review in Apple Podcasts or in Spotify, like we're going to talk about today, and I will read your podcast review here on the show. All right, so this is from AAA-Invest, and they said, great insights and ideas. Listened to episode 108 and 109 this week and was impressed by Kristin behind the mic. She knows what her listener needs, and as a good interviewer, she knows how to bring that info out. So thank you so much, AAA Invest. I appreciate you and your review. That means so much to me. It feeds my soul. So words of encouragement. Love language right here. All right. So today we are going to be diving into the essential aspect of podcasting, which would be ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So as a podcast manager and a coach to podcasters, I get this question asked a lot about, Kristin, I heard that leaving a podcast review or rating is going to help me chart. This is a myth. And unfortunately and fortunately, it doesn't work like that. So today we're going to really walk through this simple question and everything that you need to know about podcast ratings and reviews and how it can help your podcast. So first, we're going to talk about Apple Podcasts because this is mainly where most people are listening. Spotify is a close second. And of course, there's other apps, but we're going to focus on Apple and Spotify. First things first, in Apple, you have ratings. Inside of this, if you go to your podcast, you're going to scroll down, and I think it's about 7 or 8 episodes down, you'll see some stars and write a review. Ratings is the stars. There's a scale that's 1 through 5. And these ratings are going to show up as a clump. So say there's 5-star reviews, and it's going to show that on your show page. People can rate it there. However, before you do that, I would encourage you to encourage your listener to leave a review. So in the review, which says write a review right underneath your show episodes that I was just explaining, you click that, it says write a review. And these reviews, you can have a title and description. You can also put the star ratings of your show. And just as a reminder, when you are encouraging your listeners to leave a review, to make sure that they know they can only leave one review per show. The other thing too is keep in mind that reviews are associated with their Apple ID, and it's only specific to whatever country or region that they're in. So for example, if they have a Canadian Apple ID, it's only going to be visible to users in Canada. So a lot of people will say, Kristin, I don't know where to find my ratings and reviews. Number one, look on your app and you can find them there. Sometimes it won't show up right away, and you can go into Apple Podcast Connect, and you can find those ratings and reviews. And you can also download them into a CSV file, which is super convenient. Another way that you can find those podcast reviews, and just so you know, they take about sometimes 5 to 7 days to show up. So it could be a while. It might not be automatic. Another place that's really helpful to see those reviews is Chartable. If you haven't checked out Chartable, it's a pretty cool website to help podcasters, and that will lay out your reviews anytime they come up. So while ratings and reviews, they don't necessarily influence the charts in Apple Podcasts or even the search bar, they do help play a crucial role in helping other listeners discover and engage in your show. If you think about it, if you're looking for a brand new show, one of the best places to really find out more information is to look in their reviews, see what people have liked. And that's one way that you can direct your audience is, hey, if you liked this show, I would love if you talked about what was your favorite takeaway in the review. Or if you have a favorite episode, tell me why inside of the review. And that is going to build social proof for you. It's like going on Amazon and looking through the reviews. I rarely ever, if I'm buying something that is an off brand of something, you best be believing I am checking the quality reviews in that section on Amazon. And I want that to be the case for your show, that people will be able to go into your podcast and they will see what are people liking, what shows do they enjoy. Is there any bad reviews? Is there any encouraging reviews specifically about the host and how they interview, like the one that I just read from the latest review on my podcast? So now let's dive into how do we encourage our fans to leave a review? Well, there's a lot of people that don't know how to leave a review. I was just in a coaching session the other day. We were just talking about how to encourage our listeners to open up their phone and show them directly how to do it. Now, I encouraged her to just take a screen recording of how she did it. And then I followed my own advice and I did it myself on Instagram. You could find that in my links. I literally just walk them through, okay, you're going to open Apple Podcasts, you're going to scroll down to write a review, and this is where you're going to leave a review. So sometimes just pointing it out directly is a great way. Also, pointing out the benefits of doing it, which is helping bring others to the show in the form of people are always looking to see what other people think about the show. And it helps others discover more about the show and get feedback as a host. So many good opportunities here. Another call to action to help people come and write a review on your show is really just connecting with them and sharing that you're supporting our show by leaving that 5-star review, by reviewing it on Apple. Again, some ideas that you can give them, because sometimes it's hard to be like, gosh, what do I leave in the review? Just give them examples. Like, how about share with me one of the funniest moments that you can remember on my show? Or if you're a podcast coach, what is the number one tool that you've taken away from this podcast, and share it in a review? Now, here's where we're going to pivot into Spotify because I think it segues beautifully. So, Spotify, you cannot leave a written review, at least as of right now, as I'm recording this, but you can leave a rating. But what's cool in Spotify is that you can now do a question and interact with your audience. So, in Spotify, they have an interactive tool where you can ask a question to your audience. So, for instance, I just had a show called 4 Tips to Increase Your Podcast Reach with Whitney Lee. And I asked inside of Spotify, what did you think about this episode? I could have done a little bit more specific. That is the auto populated question in there. But what's cool is that the review that was left in there is going to help somebody else listen to this show. So Shelly Johnson responded with great practical strategy advice. Coming up with a title can be the hardest part. This helped. Good reminder to say no to fear of man and say yes to something brave. This is helpful, again, to help those future listeners or listeners who are trying to decide on clicking on your show. You have somebody in your audience sharing what specifically they thought about the show. And just thinking about even just in this comment alone, okay, well, she talked about strategy advice? Do I want to listen about that with podcasting? Do I want to listen to about how to come up with a title? Because I know that can be the hardest part. So it's helping people identify like, oh, yes, this episode is for me. So that is the overall just information. Now it's application, right? We can have all the information about podcast reviews and podcast ratings, whether we're using Apple or Spotify or another app. But now we need to apply it, and we need to encourage our listeners to leave a review, tell them why, tell them what, and tell them how. I encourage you to keep encouraging your listeners to provide feedback, to share their thoughts, to continue to shine your light, you guys. So keep creating that kingdom impact, keep sharing your voice, be seen, be heard, and be known. And happy podcasting. Thanks for listening today. Hey, I want you to know that there is an opportunity for you and I to connect. I would love to do that. Find a link below and we can schedule a one-on-one free 15-minute consultation. I want to hear, where are you in your podcasting journey, and how can I help serve you and help you bring that kingdom impact dream into reality?